Henry Aldous Dixon was born in Provo, Utah on June 29, 1890. His young parents were proud of their firstborn son and raised him to appreciate his family's pioneer heritage. He attended LDS High School in Salt Lake City and learned early that his physical attributes were not his strongest assets.
Well, he was conscious of his physique being short, and he says he went out for, one year he went out for track, and the coach just about died laughing. He says he's seen cows jump fences, but never that. So he knew that his physical strengths weren't his best.
He served a Mormon mission to Germany in 1910 to 1912 and went on quickly to earn a degree from Brigham Young University in 1914. Dixon joined the faculty at Weber Academy in 1914 and became the principal of Weber in 1919. In the early 20s, he served as a superintendent of Provo schools until family circumstances required that he take over management of the family's interest in the Farmers and Merchants Bank. And in 1937, he earned his doctoral degree from the University of Southern California. Later that same year, he was selected to be president of Weber College during a very difficult period in American history.
Ogden and Utah, part of the United States, is right in the midst of the Depression. This is still a difficult time for folks to come up with money. And so he's going to spend the next 2 or 3 years dealing with budget issues with the State Board of Education, becoming involved with these folks, kind of feeling his way. And by the early 1940s, when he's about ready to begin to put forward some of his ideas, something happens that puts things off for 4 or 5 years, and that is World War II.
The impact of World War II was felt in every aspect of campus life, and Henry Aldous Dixon is forced to postpone the implementation of his vision for Weber College. Answering his country's call to arms, President Dixon and his team responded by building Weber's nationally recognized vocational and technical education program.
But when you think about World War II and what that meant to this area, and the vocational building was all in place, ready to train pilots, ready to train mechanics, Air Force mechanics, whatever. There was a big Navy cadet training program here. Weber College hummed 24 hours a day.
Despite the numerous demands and responsibilities, Henry Aldous Dixon was not only interested in teaching his students a trade or profession. He didn't lose sight that he and his faculty were involved in a much more noble cause.
Some students would say that he would often say to them, "You've come to Weber to learn how to make a living, but I want you also to learn how to make a life." He wanted them to have both the advantage of the kind of training that would come, but also the broader, the grander kind of educational view that would make people have a real quality of life.
Because he showed interest in each student, he was able to create a unique bond between him and the students.
And they loved it because he knew their names. And although the school wasn't as big then as it is now, that was really quite remarkable that he did know their names, but he just felt that as people, as friends, that he had to know them, and he did. And he didn't forget ever what it was like to be young. And he overlooked a lot of pranks that someone could have made a big deal out of and kind of turned a blind eye.
We were working with rabbits, and we were working with other type of animals, embalming them. And doing the embalming, of course, you use these large water syringes. And so one thing led to another, and finally somebody got squirted with water from one of these syringes, and somebody else got squirted with a larger syringe. And finally, Wib Cook got a bucket of water, and he decided he was going to throw it down my back. And I rushed out of the lab, And as I got to the hall, I made a quick turn, and there was Henry Aldous Dixon just walking there. And at that time, Wib Cook let fly with the water, and it soaked our president of Weber College at that time. And I thought that was the end of my college career.
The Bart Walthia story with the water, and he said, as I recall, he said, well, you two clean this up and then meet me in my office. By the time they got to the office, and he had cleaned up also, and he just burst out laughing, and they had a good laugh.
Okay, he said, no, he said, it's all right this time, but don't let it happen again. So he laughed about it. And I thought then, that goes to show you the quality of a man.
Not only did he endear himself to the students, but he knew that his faculty was his greatest asset, and he became personally involved in their lives as well.
Of course, the school was smaller, the faculty was smaller, but they were like one big happy family. And I think he could have called everybody in the school by name, and certainly the faculty people he do.
He used to bring Merlin Stevenson in nearly every morning for breakfast. He didn't feel that Merlin was getting enough nutrition. So he took it upon himself to see that he came in and have one of Nana's breakfasts real often.
He not only held good faculty meetings, but he would hold once in the spring quarter. He'd send a memo around to the faculty and say the curriculum shot to hell. He'd use those words, and we need to have a meeting to repair it. And calling a meeting of the faculty up on the Yellowstone River or the Snake River, someplace up a long ways away like that, and all those that are interested will meet at that meeting on such and such a date and such a time. And we'd all get our fishing tackle ready and get our waders on, and away we'd go.
At the conclusion of the war, President Dixon was again ready to begin working on implementing his vision for Weber's future.
In the years from 1945, when World War II ends, until the summer of 1953, when Henry Aldous Dixon leaves Weber's College, Henry Aldous Dixon is just a dynamo in terms of doing things. As you look at the record, as you talk with people, as you see what he's doing, the enrollment is growing rapidly at Weber College. Faculty are being hired. There's an esprit de corps that's building during this period of time. A huge land purchase is made, which means that Weber College is going to have a new home. Plans are made for buildings. And in the midst of all of that, Henry Aldous Dixon is orchestrating moves to have Weber College become a four-year college.
After 16 years as Weber's president, he had accomplished most everything he had set out to do. And in 1953, he was asked to serve as president of Utah State Agricultural College. His tenure at Utah State was short-lived. After just 15 months, he reluctantly agreed to run for Congress after a political scandal. He was subsequently elected to 2 more terms in office, and in 1960 announced that he would not seek re-election. He went on to teach for several years at BYU before passing away in January of 1967. But the legacy of Henry Aldous Dixon will always be linked to Weber, as few leaders of this institution have had such a significant and memorable impact.
I think the one piece of his legacy that we also need to recognize is the fact that he's really bound the community and the institution together, so that Ogden looks upon Weber as its college, and Weber County looks upon Weber as its college. And many folks on the Wasatch Front in northern Utah look upon Weber College as their college. This is a very significant kind of thing.
Well, you just have to look around you to see this. Certainly this campus the vision he had for the college and what it could accomplish. Look at the things you're accomplishing now that would have pleased him so much. He'd have been so happy to see the progress that it has made. He'd have been so happy.